What is personal branding for you? What are the steps to build a brand offline? What would you do if you were just getting started today? Well, I have a series of questions lined up on today's conversation on the Startup Show presented by Amplis. And my name is Varun Nair. So, on today's episode is something different than the usual episodes, which very different episode I'm trying to host today. Since when I started to engage more in LinkedIn, I realized that I'm organically improving my personal branding, but I didn't realize how important it might be in my coming future. So I chose to talk about it since it's a very interesting topic about branding, and most of the founders find it as a very big challenge. So I chose to have this interesting conversation and an inspiring conversation with Cauveé. So he is an inspiration engineer and has been also a fulfillment coach. So he's giving entrepreneurs the boost, the energy, the confidence to take massive decisions and massive actions towards their purposes using the power of strategy, music, and edutainment. He was also a TEDx speaker and also been being published in Huffington Post few years back. So he is here to speak about the importance of personal branding and also what is basically inspiration engineer. So let's welcome Mr. Cauveé to this video podcasting series.
What's going on, guys?
Hi, everything is going great right now. Thank you for joining this podcasting series, Cauveé.
I'm very grateful to be here, and the intention is to give as much value as possible. So I'm ready to dive in.
I'm actually really honored that this is the first video podcasting series I'm doing with an inspiration coach, the inspiration engineer. So I want to directly dive into the question. So what is inspiration engineer?
So I found myself going against the grain, right? You know, society has these rules, and to understand, we call it a stereotype to get information really quickly. We stereotype ethnicity, we stereotype jobs and skills, right? And so I didn't fit in a box. And so inspiration engineering specifically was a title that I created because I found myself being inauthentic with all the skills that I had. So make sure that it makes sense. Your Jim Rohns, your Zig Ziglars, all these guys, they say the more skills you have, the more valuable you are to the marketplace.
Yes.
Right? That is true. However, it's not like language. If you speak Italian, French, English, and Spanish, nobody says, okay, Varun, but which language do you speak?
Yeah.
Nobody does that. But when skills, if they don't all go under the same umbrella, so like marketing, right? If you're a marketer, you do copy, you do landing pages, you do ads, those all fall under the same category. Okay. If you have a variety of skills, which is what I had, sales, marketing, poet, audio engineer, singer, rapper, writer, designer, right? They didn't all fall under the same bracket. So every time I would go to certain audiences, I would change up my message, and I felt like I was inauthentic. I felt like I was leaving a piece of myself out on the table. So long story short, I came to my community. I said, hey guys, you know, as a strategist, as a coach, as a musician, I don't know how to put all these skills under one umbrella. Can you help me? And so they took 10 titles that I created. They took the 10, narrowed it down to 5. They voted the 5 down to 2. And then my audience chose Inspiration Engineer, and the Inspiration Engineer was born.
That's a wonderful, thought process you had created of yourself. So I just wanted to ask you, if I want to start my personal branding, what are the first steps I should start with?
Number one, I'm going to give you guys 3 steps. Number one, you need to master a skill. Okay. Now do not do what Cauveé did. Cauveé went and acquired a whole bunch of skills without building funnels and systems for each skill. So you want to master a skill, funnelize it, systemize it, launch it in the marketplace. Then go get the next skill. Funnelize it, systemize it, launch it, right? So anyway, that's what I did not do. So number one, master a skill, okay?
Yeah.
As you master that skill, number 2, you're going to do what I call testimonial stacking. Okay. So if you're just getting started, you may need to volunteer to go build up some testimonials, maybe for free or for low cost, so that you got people validating that you're good at what you do.
Yeah.
And you keep leveling up that stack. Okay. So number one, we're going to go ahead and master skill. Number two, we're going to testimonial stack. Number three, as you're learning it, I have a philosophy to feed multiple birds with one seed. So what that means is there's no reason to go put out content later when you could be putting out content now about what you are learning. So as you're learning about personal branding in this case, or as you're learning about that skill or bettering yourself at that skill, you could be educating your audience, consistently publishing content about that topic. And that's how you stay top of mind. So number one, again, master skill. Number two, testimonial stack, which is going to get you awareness. Number three, stay top of mind and publish content on a regular, consistent basis around the topic that you've mastered.
Okay. So initially when you started your own personal branding, what was the biggest challenges when you faced, and how do you compare to the recent audience right now in the 2020?
The biggest challenge that I personally faced was, there's two. One was the variety of skills, as which I explained. Having a very diverse skill set that the marketplace didn't understand what I do. Number two, the challenge I still face is people don't understand what I do. So we're still in that process of making sure it's simple, making sure you understand. So it falls under strategy, it falls under music, and as you said, edutainment, which is content creation. So you want to be very clear, have 3 sentences max as to what you do, and then build out a full content empire around that specific.
Okay, Cauveé, so just one question. Is personal brand measured mainly by followers or whatever the work you're doing?
It's a bit of both. I mean, if you're in it just for followers, you're in the wrong game, right? You need to be in it for the value that you create. You need to be in it for the love that you have. You need to be in it for the passion around what you're doing. If you're not in it for those reasons, you're in it for the wrong reason. It takes the community or the marketplace to validate your skills and your ability. So in that way, you get validation from the market, but again, your personal brand should be built around what you love to do. This is my opinion. It should be built around what you love to do and the value in which you help others.
Okay. And what are the best channels to improve our personal branding according to you? And
it depends on who you serve. So if you're B2B, which means business to business, you should be on LinkedIn for sure. Okay. If you have a young audience and you cater to a young crowd, you're in high school maybe, you might want to think about TikTok and then Snapchat, right? If you're a lifestyle influencing brand, where it's about your travel, or it's about fashion, or it's about your life, your journey, then Instagram may be the best place for you, right? Ultimately, what you want to do is you want to master Facebook ads so that you can pixel your audience, right? And then have a secondary channel in addition to that, where you're going to spend majority of your time with your content. Okay.
So my question is, like, should I choose one channel and spend my 100% energy there, or 5 channels with 20% efforts on each?
That's a great question, and it's a tough question to answer because it depends on the person. If the person is a left brain person and they left brain thinker, so that we are on the same page, is someone who's sequential, methodical, they need steps. So step 1, step 2, step 3, and it's minutia based. You should focus on one. If you're more of a multitasker, you should focus on them all. Now, eventually, both people, no matter which side you're on, you need to be omnipresent, right? So you want to be on all channels. But when you're laser focusing in, you don't want to try to tackle it all at once because it's too much. So for me, what I did was I tackled LinkedIn first, and then I built Facebook second, and then I started building Instagram third, and then I basically built the other ones around there.
Okay, that's great, because that's even I also follow the same procedures, and I find it really helpful for me at the same time.
That's awesome. Yeah, so, that's what's worked for me. I would say again, going back to mastery of a skill, you should definitely master Facebook, right? Because Facebook has so much of the marketplace on it. Yeah. And so once you master Facebook ads and you pixel your audience, then you should have one other secondary platform that
Okay.
you're,
Yes.
doing awareness for.
But I find Facebook I find Facebook active, but it's really hard to get that personal branding right. So what are the steps to implement your personal branding and enhance your personal branding in Facebook?
Well, first off, I would say it's hard if you make it hard. It's hard
Yeah.
if you think it's hard. If you go into it thinking this is going to be hard, then it's going to be hard, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Anything that's available, there's so much content on YouTube that you can learn.
Yeah.
Um, it's just a matter of applying your time to learn it, right? But as far as, going back to those same 3 steps that I said earlier, if you've done those 3 things, which again, master the skill, 2, testimonial stack, 3, you're putting out content consistently.
Okay.
Well, now we can add on to that step and maybe add 2 more. So you have certain types of content like a podcast,
Yes.
like a blog, like YouTube,
Uh-huh.
which once you put content out on those search or on those platforms, the Google crawlers and spiders, I'm not going to get into the tech side of it, but they go and crawl websites and crawl information, right? So you're using what's called an evergreen content strategy. That strategy is always out in the marketplace, which is not a bad strategy to have. Okay. So with that said, as I was mastering and building a community on a platform, right? Again, if you're publishing content, it makes sense to repurpose that same content on Medium, which is a great blog site if you don't have a website, or on WordPress, or on, I think Wix and Squarespace and all these different platforms enable you to now do a blog now, right? So you want to basically repurpose your content to where other people can see it on other platforms.
Exactly. So I think that's a very good strategy everyone should follow, on like repurposing the videos into blog posts, audio transcripts, in podcasting, so that distribution will help Google to crawl and help you in getting you listed on top of the Google search.
Yeah, and I'll say one other thing too. A great strategy is, first off, are you better at speaking or are you better at writing?
I'm better at speaking. I can't write.
So if you're better at speaking, having a podcast or having some way to record your voice to where that's your primary, channel, but then you can go find a transcription company online, or you can go find a virtual assistant, somewhere on one of these sites like FreeUp or, what's the other one? Upwork. I mean, there's all these different companies, right? And you can have a VA or somebody like that transcribe your audio content, which is another great way to do it. So again, feeding multiple birds with one seed. You're not speaking and then writing. You speak it, and then now you get somebody to transcribe it, and now you got 2 pieces of content. So it's always best, and I want to make sure everybody understands this too. So in addition to being omnipresent on all channels, you can't start off trying to be on all channels. However, you do want to hit all type of learner, right? Every learner, you got visual, you got kinesthetic, you got audio. Those are the 3 types of learners that we have. So you're best to be on some type of visual platform, some type of, and visual, video, and written, some type of audio platform, which would be your podcast. And then kinesthetic, again, that's a little bit harder because you might be looking at like events or something like that, like in person, but it's just something where people can feel like they're connected with you. And you can do that through webinars and some other things, not to overwhelm everybody, but you want to be on as many platforms as you can and keep spreading.
So, when we're talking about the distribution, so in a week, how many times should we post in LinkedIn? How many times should we post in Facebook? So how does it work?
There's not a blanket answer for that question. So I can't say, 3 times a day, 5 times a day, and you think, okay, well, if I post on every, engine 5 times a day, I'm going to be successful. Okay. I like what Gary V says when he says, Gary Vaynerchuk, he says that basically a lot of these algorithms, they do the work for us. So when your content is no longer relevant, it's not going to show your content. Now, for me, what I found works the best is to have like a morning strategy, right? So something when everybody wakes up, gets to work, right? Yeah. To have like a lunch strategy. So somewhere around, noon or 11 a.m., somewhere around there, right? Then have like a post when everybody's getting off, 3 p.m., 4 p.m., and then have something late at night, like a 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. when some people are still processing information. So, 3 to 5 times. But again, if nobody's interacting with your content and you're posting all that, then you're not doing yourself a service. So you need to first off create strategies to make sure that people are coming to your content. But I would say 3 to 5 on average for most platforms.
Okay, duly noted. So moving on. So this question is like, one of my colleague just had a thought in his mind, and he just gave me this question to ask you. So posting personal vs posting professional, what should be the mix?
Ooh, that depends on the product, the service, and the brand.
Okay.
Right. Now, I'm a person. One of our core values in Cauveé is 3,000% transparency. Right. Okay. So if we look at a lot of celebrity failures, and we look at like the most iconic or famous people, they usually get caught doing something that if they would have disclosed in the front end, it would have still been unsettling. Okay. But had they disclosed it, we wouldn't have been as in shock by it, right? Yes. So I'm more of the nature, I think that people want to know, number one, your story, right? Okay. People connect to your story because that's how we relate, right? What similarities do we have? What's your story? So there needs to be some elements of your story. Then there needs to be elements within that story as to how you do what you do, why you do what you do, who you help, and why you help those people. Right? Which now we're just tying back in what we said earlier, your testimonial stacking, bringing that back into the mix. So it needs to be a balance, but again, there's not this one size fits all answer because it depends on the type of brand that you're building. A venture capitalist is going to have a totally different strategy than, a lifestyle blogger or a lifestyle, somebody that travels like a nomad that wants to share his or her journey. Those two are not the same. So you want to have a strategy that fits. And one thing I'll tell everybody to do, no matter what space you're in, which is what I've done my entire life, go find the successful people in those industries, in those genres, in those verticals, and model what they're doing. I didn't say do exactly what they're doing, but you can start modeling what they're doing to get an idea as to what works, and that will work best versus trying to, like I said, have this one size answer that covers everybody.
Basically, a reference. A reference would be a help.
No, not friends. Not friends.
No, reference.
Reference. Yes, reference. Yes, absolutely.
Understood. So, like you said, it's a good exercise to find some good references of 5 to 10 people who actually is really good with personal branding, and try to build own profile on what you are really good at.
Well, when you build a business plan, you have to do market research and competitive analysis, right? Like that's part of the process. Yes. So not saying that everybody's building out a canvas, a lean canvas, or they're making a business plan, but I'm just saying that's business 101 is to go do market research and understand what's happening in the market so that you know where you fit. So when you're studying the market and you're studying people that either inspire you or people that are similar to you, you can reverse engineer what they're doing, then bring your creativity to your own mix, and now be similar, but yet, be different and be authentic.
Okay. So this question is like, I just wanted to ask you this question because it's something relevant to paid campaigns. So how much do you support for paid campaigns for personal branding? Does it really help in our personal branding, or is it like a no from you?
You said for paid what?
Paid campaigns, like paid ad campaigns.
Oh, paid campaigns.
Personal branding.
No, I think so. A majority of what I've built up to this point has been organic. Okay. Now, if the trade-off, there's a trade-off. Yeah. This is the trade-off. Number one, there's a couple questions I would need to ask you to answer your question, right? Number one, do you know how to run ads? Do you know how to use ads? That's number one. And on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at, right? So somebody that knows how to use them, they know, the ins and outs of them, is going to be a different answer than somebody who's just beginning. Exactly. Okay? That's number one. Number two, how fast do you want to get to the goal, right? Okay. There needs to be a goal, and whether that's a revenue goal or how many, you said followers earlier, so how many followers you want to have. Yes. Everything is a formula, and it's a numbers game as to how you make, impressions to engagement to share. I mean, it's all numbers, right? It's all data. Yes. So you need to know what is the goal, And then how long do you want to give yourself to get there? Basically, when you're running ads and you're doing it the right way, that's the thing. When you're
Okay.
doing it the right way, you're just speeding up the process because you can reach a bigger community in a lot shorter amount of time versus organic. Now, if the majority of people listening are beginners, if you consider yourself more of a beginner or intermediate, I would advise you to start off organic and start gradually building. If you're intermediate or advanced and you just don't have the Facebook ads to your belt, then I would either A, hire a growth hacker and speed up, or B, I would start learning it myself.
Okay, amazing. That's a really valid suggestions or valid trade-offs you have given, mentioning that. Just add to that conversation. So, how much does personal branding can really help you in your company or startup branding as well?
To me, it's everything. I personally believe, and personal branding is like the new verbiage. Influencers, new verbiage. But if you think about a personal brand, we've had resumes since the beginning of like working history, right? Your resume is your personal brand, but it was called a resume. So what I believe is the more that you're putting out that is authentic and unique to you. I don't know if you know this. Elon Musk released a song 3 weeks ago. Did you know that? Did you see that?
I'm sorry, I didn't follow that.
Yeah, Elon Musk released a electro disc, electronic house song.
I think I should watch it.
3 weeks ago. And so what I'm saying is he's not really a musician, right? But even he is leveraging content to attach to his brand. So, if you think about it, because the question would be, what does music have to do with a Tesla, right? Or what does music have to do with going to Mars? Right? So he's creating more content, unique content to just make himself different. Nobody else is doing that. So I'm saying that to say, when it comes to, the content that you create, when it comes to, and this is what I get all the time, Cauveé, how do I stand out?
Yeah.
If you want to stand out, you've got to do what the market isn't doing and be different. And those things will make you stand out. Does that make sense?
Yes, that absolutely makes sense. When you said so. So what are the personal brands which you follow closely?
I don't follow as many people as I used to. I got to a place where I'm not absorbing as much content as I am, creating it. Some of the people that I started off with that like really changed kind of the game for me. Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn's a legend. So if you haven't really, followed Jim Rohn, I highly encourage it. He was Tony Robbins' mentor. So a lot of people are like, Tony Robbins. Well, he was Tony Robbins' mentor. So that tells you, the power of Jim Rohn. Tony Robbins, Les Brown. When I need to get hype, if I need it, like if I'm in the gym, I might listen to Eric Thomas. He's great. Brene Brown, Mel Robbins. I mean, there's a lot of amazing people. Marie Forleo, Brandon Bouchard. I mean, I can just name drop all day. Trent Shelton. I mean, there's a lot of people that create really cool content. Les Brown, if I didn't say him, Les Brown was one of my earlier mentors.
So what makes you to follow them the most? Like what are the things, what you find them in common? Like what you find them really interesting in them and you follow them?
So for me, and I want to explain this, coming from the music world, being that I was in hip hop when I started, right? In the hip hop world, we do a thing called sampling. Right. So when you sample, you're like taking a little bit of this song. Varun's got a song. I'm sampling that. I'm putting it in my song. Right. Or when you're getting started, you're trying to find your voice. And this goes back to modeling. So when I started out, I was modeling Nelly. I was modeling Eminem. I was modeling R. Kelly and all these different people. So I'm trying to find my own voice. So with whether it's athletics, whether it's business, whether it's influence, personal branding, whatever it is, you're trying to find your game. You're trying to find your voice. You're trying to find what resonates with you. So normally there's a story that they say that really aligns. There's a philosophy that they have that, I think they think like me or I think like them.
Yeah.
Usually there's something about their presence, like their presence. And then ultimately they taught me something. There was something that they taught me. And that usually decides whether, like, if I agree with their philosophies, that's the deciding factor whether I follow them or not.
Okay, that's amazing. So this question, like, is like, what does brand recommendation mean to brand marketers?
Brand recommendation?
Yeah.
What do you mean when you say brand recommendation?
So when you talk about, so some people would suggest, other people's about, whom should
Oh,
you follow.
I
So
got you.
how do
So
you,
yeah, so going back to what I said earlier, so that we're not all over the place, right?
yeah,
By building up that testimonial stacking
yeah,
and continuously putting good content out in the marketplace,
yeah,
people are going to start tagging you on things. People are going to start reaching out and asking you questions. People are going to start recommending you to their friends,
yes,
right? But
yes,
that doesn't happen until you do the groundwork. So once
exactly,
you do the initial groundwork,
yeah,
that's a byproduct or an outcome
yeah,
from doing the groundwork, right?
oh,
So the brand
yes,
recommending the checklist that comes from Facebook and Instagram and Google, the yellow influencer thing that you
yes,
get
yes,
from
yes,
LinkedIn comes from the mastery of doing everything that I said before. So
okay,
you will start getting more word of mouth marketing
okay,
as you continue to change lives. And
okay,
again, don't focus on how much money you're going to make. Don't focus on what kind of product you're going to sell. Don't focus on what kind of service you're going to offer. Focus on
okay,
what you love and what kind of value you're going to create. And
right,
if you're creating value and you just keep doing that over and over and over and over and over again,
yeah.
eventually people are going to know you for that.
Okay, excellent. That's a very wonderful answer you have given. So, what are the things which should keep away while we are working on a personal brand?
What are the things that I didn't catch that?
What are the things we should keep away? Like, avoid the things when you're working on personal branding, because people get involved into too many things and they just doesn't follow a proper strategy or proper routine. So, what are the things we should keep away to avoid for a better, like, to keep a good personal branding?
So I think that people, myself included, we
Yeah.
get caught up in the shiny object syndrome. There's always something cool or new or
Yes.
innovative, and it's hard. It's very hard to stay in one lane. So I would tell people, man, just keep it simple.
Yeah.
Create a content strategy or get a tool like Buffer or something like that that
Yes. Yes.
allows you to set a schedule,
Yes.
right? And then build the habit, be disciplined
Yeah.
to go study that skill and consistently write or speak content that is
Yeah.
going to go out on those times every single day.
Okay.
Doing that every single day is a challenge by itself.
Yes.
So what will happen is compound effect.
Okay.
Another person, Darren Hardy, compound effect. If you
Okay.
grow by 1% every day, by the end of the year, you're a beast. But it's that consistency. It's like going to the gym. Like you don't get big and muscular or six-pack of abs in a week or in a month or in a quarter or in
Okay.
6 months. I mean, it takes time. Plus, you got to eat the right food every single day, right? So it's the same. It's the same principle. And so that's what I would tell people is to focus on the discipline, focus on the habit, and doing it every single day consistently, and let that be your focus over, trying to absorb everything else because there's so much to absorb.
That's absolutely wonderful to hear a lot more, many questions about personal branding. And if you people haven't know about Cauveé, so please do check out his LinkedIn profile and also his personal website. I will leave the details and the descriptions in the descriptions below, so you guys can check him out, how he has built his personal branding and how importance he has given for his own and created his own personal brand of an inspiration engineer. And he is on his journey to nurture the people to understand how important inspiration engineer is really, and driving a lot of startups to give them a lot of motivation, encouragement, and the power to boost, create new strategies and implement new ideas. So that was a wonderful conversation with Cauveé. So we had a very wonderful time talking about personal branding. So there will be a lot of topics we will be discussing in the coming near future. So today we chose to speak about personal branding. which he's really great about. And next time we'll be really coming up with a lot of interesting topics to talk about. And this was Cauveé, has given us a very wonderful talk about personal branding. I find a really interesting conversation in today's episode. So I will ask everyone to keep an eye on this video from the very beginning to the end.
We've got a free branding guide. Reach out to me by the time this episode airs. If you go to, a lot of people are like, how do I connect with you? You can reach out to me wherever you're at. I'm there, right? So if you're a LinkedIn person, hit me up there. If you're a TikTok person, hit me up there. If you go to a website, which is CAUV as in victory EE.com. So CAUV as in victory EE.com. We're giving away an album, we're giving away a free guide, and we're giving away a course. So make sure you guys go sign up for that. By the time this goes live, I'll have a code for you guys.
I will drop the links in the description below, so you can see right now all the descriptions. Just go and search it in the. You can see it down there, as well as so the guide which you're talking about. Is it about the influence and the exposure guide which we are talking about?
We're finishing a branding kit right now as we speak. Awesome. So like I said, by the time this goes live, I'll have a code for your audience and they'll get it for free. It's a $47 resource, but they'll be able to get it for free by just putting in the code and then rock and roll.
So it's exclusive. It's exclusive for the startup show. Thank you, Cauveé. That was really appreciating for having the wonderful conversation and giving our audience the chance to get the freebie, the guide for the personal branding. Thank you for your wonderful time spending with us. Until next time, we'll see you with more topics to come, and we'll be having the same conversation in the coming months again. So until then, keep an eye on the startup show and make sure to follow me as well as Cauveé. Just reach out to him. He's a very wonderful person and he's ready to help you in any means. So thank you, Cauveé. That was really wonderful having you in the show once again. See you next time. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.